Hey y'all, Tamara here with Razzle Dazzle Life. Today we are going to be making some Salisbury steak, hamburger steaks, call them what you want, but call them delicious. I'm gonna start by cutting up a yellow onion. I'm gonna add about half a yellow onion here. I'm just gonna dice it up to add it to our ground beef mixture. This is just to add a little bit of flavor. I'm only gonna add about a quarter of this to the ground beef mixture, and then I'm going to add the rest to my gravy later. So I'm just gonna put a nice little dice on this onion. So you want to cut it into little strips and then turn it, and then you're going to cut it again, and that's going to give you a nice fine dice like so. Voila. Once your onion is minced or diced, go ahead and add it to the bowl that you're going to be adding your ground beef. Try to use a pretty good sized bowl because you don't want it to overflow. If onions aren't your thing, you can definitely leave them out, but I'm going to add some diced onion because it adds a really nice layer of flavor. We're also going to be adding some onion Lipton soup mix. So like I said, if onions aren't your thing, leave them out. 3 pounds of ground beef here, but I'm only going to be using 2. We don't need all this, so I'm gonna go ahead and wrap that up in a minute. We got our 2 pounds of ground beef, and I have some beefy onion soup mix here. You can use 1 or 2 packs since you have 2 pounds of ground beef. I'm only gonna use 1 because I'm also going to use some seasonings. I have some seasoning salt, some all-purpose seasoning, garlic powder, and some black pepper. Then you're going to add some Worcestershire sauce. Go ahead and add your diced onions. If you have breadcrumbs, add those. I'm going to add some crackers. Just crush them up the best you can. Use your hands. You can crush them up in a sleeve if you want to. This is just going to kind of bind everything together. You really do not want to overwork your meat because it will make it really tough. Try to get everything fully incorporated, get everything fully combined. Don't overmix. Now that you got your hamburger meat all mixed up, you're just going to form your Salisbury steak patties as big or as little as you want. I am feeding teenage boys here. So you're going to take your hamburger meat and form it into a ball and then just smash it down into a patty, and then just repeat until you have all your hamburger steaks formed. With my Salisbury steaks tonight, I'm going to be making some mashed potatoes and some green beans. I couldn't decide if I wanted green beans or Brussels sprouts, but I need to use up these potatoes, so I'm gonna go ahead and do mashed potatoes. I have a mashed potatoes recipe on my website, razzledazzlelife.com and delicioussidedishes.com, so feel free to peruse the site if you want to. Mashed potatoes are one of those staple side dishes, just like rice. Peel your potatoes. If you have a vegetable peeler, go on and use it. I don't like using a vegetable peeler. I feel like I'm better with a paring knife. But once you get your potatoes peeled up, just cube them or cut them into kind of the same size pieces so that once you boil them, they all cook at the same time. Once you get your potatoes peeled and cubed up, you're going to rinse all the debris off of them and then just cover the potatoes with water. Then you're going to bring them to a light boil and just boil them for about 15 minutes until the potatoes are fork tender. I like using my cast iron skillet when I make any kind of steak. I like getting a nice crust on a steak, and to do that you need a cast iron skillet. Set your temperature on medium-high heat. You don't want to burn them, you just want a really nice crust. Remember, as these cook down, they are going to shrink up, so they might look really large right now, but y'all, they shrink tremendously. Do not overcrowd your pan either. We'll cook 4 at a time because that's all that's gonna fit. So you get that nice crust on them, you're just gonna flip them over real gently so you don't splatter yourself. Cook them on the other side for another 3 to 5 minutes, and we're gonna take them out of the pan. To make a homemade gravy, we are going to add just a little bit of olive oil to the same skillet. We didn't rinse it out, about a tablespoon or so. We are just going to saute those onions that we diced up earlier, add those to the skillet. Optional, but highly recommended. We're also going to add some mushrooms and just saute those for about 3 minutes or so until the onions are soft and translucent. Depending on how much gravy you want, that's how much oil you need to add to your skillet. So 1 tablespoon of oil will make about 2 cups of gravy. Now that your mushrooms and onions are nice and soft, you are going to sprinkle in about a 1/4 cup of flour and just whisk it around until it absorbs all of that oil. Now you want to gently pour your liquid in and stir it as you add your liquid. You're going to lift that fond, all of those scraps off the bottom of the skillet. And as you can see, it's already thickening up. We're going to go ahead and add some more water. Adding water little by little, about a 1/4 cup at a time until you get your desired consistency. We have about 6 Salisbury steaks, so I want mine to be a little bit on the thinner side. This is a really good thickness here. I'm just going to add a little bit more water, and then I think we are where we want to be. I'm gonna season this just a little bit, but remember the beef broth that we use is already a little bit salty. So now is a good time to taste for flavor. It already has a really nice flavor. I'm gonna go ahead and add about a teaspoon of Cajun seasoning, black pepper, and garlic powder, just to boost that flavor just a little bit. Now take those cooked hamburger steaks, Salisbury steaks, whatever you want to call them, and just nestle those bad boys right back into that delicious brown gravy. And this is where the magic happens. They're going to get nice and tender and full of flavor, y'all. Simmer in here and swim away for about 15 to 20 minutes. Then we're going to serve them up with these mashed potatoes.